The online left is one big drama these days. It's been one big drama, really, this year, more than I've ever seen. And this is somebody who's kind of kept myself up with the online left since kind of stumbling across all these people in 2007 and 2008. And now Jimmy Dore's been a pariah amongst the left. There's really, if you're a leftist and the discussion of Jimmy Dore comes along, there's usually no middle ground. If you're a leftist, you either think Jimmy Dore is awesome or you think that Jimmy Dore is a jerk. And there's no middle ground. And I first heard of Jimmy Dore in 2012 when he joined up with the Young Turks. And although while at that time I was a Young Turks fan, and sadly I am no longer a Young Turks fan. Back then I was, because the Young Turks helped me through the latter George W. Bush years, and they helped me through the Obama years, being that voice on the left that I needed to give me hope for a movement. So I'm grateful for what TYT has done throughout the years, although since they started suffering from Trump derangement syndrome in the year 2016, election night 2016, I've distanced myself away from TYT. Now, here's the thing, and when I criticize Trump derangement syndrome, I want to make that clear. That does not mean that I'm sympathetic to Trump. It's just that Trump is no more a sack of shit than any other president. And that's what it comes down to. He's a con man, and he prospers even from his haters. Never lose sight of that. But getting back to Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore joined up with the TYT in 2012. And over the years, while he was in TYT, it was really interesting because he was anti-PC. He was pro-free speech. And he was Bernie or bust in the year 2016. I've always been, as a leftist, I've always been anti-PC, and I've always been pro-free speech. And I was Bernie or bust in 2016. I became Bernie and bust again in 2020. I am the original online Bernie bro in many ways, stretching back to the 1990s. Don't believe me? Contact anybody from the leadership of the Socialist Party USA that's been in the party for decades, and they will confirm that I was the original online Bernie bro, because I was defending Bernie Sanders in the Socialist Party back in the 1990s and early 2000s. Anyhow, so even in 2019, before Tulsi Gabbard started discovering that she could prosper from grifting, and it's not entirely her fault. Corporate Democrats, like Hillary Clinton, demonized her, and unfortunately, too many good leftists in the Democratic Party, even some of the Bernie Sanders supporters, kind of believe Hillary Clinton over Tulsi Gabbard, and Tulsi Gabbard ended up getting better reception by some people on the right, and I think that's kind of encouraged her to drift away. But when Tulsi Gabbard was perceivably a leftist, in good faith, she was arguably my second choice for Bernie Sanders. Then again, that was the time when I thought Tulsi Gabbard was a leftist. So, and I wanted a Bernie Sanders Tulsi Gabbard ticket. Looking back, I think that should go back to the original Plan A, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, and I am not particularly happy with Elizabeth Warren either. But and to tell you the truth, I'm kind of disappointed with Bernie Sanders these days, even though I will always have a lot of I will always have a lot of high regard for Bernie. Um, Enter Kyle Kulinski. I discovered his program in 2014. Just like Jimmy Dore, his commentary was very anti-PC, very pro-free speech, and he was Bernie bust in 2016 and 2020. So here's the thing about it. Kyle Kulinski and Jimmy Dore, even on to this day, until recently, while a lot of people on the left who hates Jimmy Dore but likes Kyle Kulinski, the ironic thing prior to what's happening between the rift between Kyle Kulinski and Jimmy Dore is that that they were pretty much on the same page, ripping into the Democratic establishment, ripping into people who are sellouts, and wanting to be more proactive instead of enabling the squad and making excuses for them. Now, and that's the thing right there. They were pretty much on the same side. When Kyle Kulinski said his delivery may be less offensive, less toxic than, let's say, Jimmy Dore, because Jimmy Dore has a confrontational style, and Kyle Kulinski can be confrontational, but Kyle Kulinski can be diplomatic too. And so basically what I'm saying is that there's been a rift recently, and I'm going to go into that rift in a minute. But here's the thing: online leftists versus Jimmy Dore. You know, when the TYT started suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, Jimmy Dore correctly saw it as BS, and Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian bought into this Russia phobia, Russia gate, and Jimmy Dore thought it was bullshit. So did Kyle Kulinski, for that matter. And I always thought that Russia, linking Vladimir Putin with Donald Trump was stupid, and it was harmful to the left, because it's not this. They just didn't go after Donald Trump with this allegation that Hillary started. They went after Jill Stein. They went after Bernie Sanders. They went after Tulsi Gabbard. They went after anybody who's on the left, linking them with Russia. And there's no link with Russia. Vladimir Putin is a problem to his people. He's not a problem on the world stage. We're talking about a country with one aircraft carrier, okay? So anyway, this Russia phobia that went on, and Jimmy Dore thought was BS. Well, Jimmy Dore program, departed ways. The Jimmy Dore show parted ways with the Young Turks in 2019, and he went on his own. And afterwards, they kind of drifted further and further apart, to the point where TYT and the Jimmy Dore show is at war with each other right now. Enter some other people, Sam Cedar and Jimmy Dore despises each other. And, the thing about it is, it's kind of tiresome watching Sam Cedar, him attacking Jimmy Dore twice a week, it seems like, and I'm saying this to somebody who really, really loves seeing Sam Cedar humiliated Steven Crowder last week. And I actually am okay with Minority Report. He's cerebral, whereas Jimmy Dore is blatant but they have the same ideology. It's just their delivery. Their delivery is and I don't want to insult either Sam Cedar or Jimmy Dore by making the Ben Shapiro, Alex Jones comparison. But Sam Cedar comes across as cerebral in the way that Ben Shapiro comes across as cerebral, except that Sam Cedar is really cerebral, and Ben Shapiro's a dumbass pretending to be an intellectual. They sort of occupy that same spot on the left with Ben Shapiro. Whereas you could arguably say that Jimmy Dore is the Alex Jones of the left, a little more confrontational, a little more in your face. Sometimes delving a little too much into conspiracy theories. At least the conspiracy theories that Jimmy Dore comes up with is, tends to be convincing, whereas Alex Jones is. I mean, I'm not. I'm just never even offended by Alex Jones. He just makes me laugh. Okay, he's wrong, but he makes me laugh. But so there's been a pissing contest between Sam Cedar and Jimmy Dore for years. David Pakman put in his 2 cents worth, and it's been a pissing contest between David Pakman and Jimmy Dore as well. And and I'm not as big a fan as David Pakman as I used to be, because he's gone very mainstream, very, very, very mainstream. I mean, I respect him. I watch his show, and I mean, and there's very little to disagree with, but he's not as he. It's like he's trying to get hired by MSNBC. That's how. And I could see David Pakman, and I'm not beating him up on this. I could see David Pakman 5 years from now having a program on MSNBC. That's where he's headed right now. Now, the Amazing Atheist, he does obviously dislikes Jimmy Dore, and I can understand the Amazing Atheist, T.J. Kirk. He got slighted by Jimmy Dore on the Joe Rogan show over not giving him proper credit for the story about Milo Yiannopoulos that broke out where the Drunken Peasants Cafe were responsible for, and TJ Kirk felt like it was a professional discourtesy made toward him, and I can understand where TJ's coming from. Let's see. Now you got a couple of people. Bosch, Bosch, of course, does not like Jimmy Dore, and I'm not the biggest Bosch fan in the world. Don't dislike him, agree with him more than disagree with him, but I can't take anybody seriously if they call themselves an anarcho-Bidenist. I don't blame Bosch for choosing Biden as a lesser evil, but come on now, anarcho-Bidenist, really? Then you got some people who are staunch defenders of Jimmy Dore on the left. You got Nico House, who runs the Mikasa Network, and he does wonderful stories, great investigative work. Though my only big problem with Nico House is not that he chose to support Tulsi Gabbard in 2016 per se, but I think that Jimmy Dore and Nico House should have encouraged Tulsi Gabbard to work as a campaign surrogate for Bernie Sanders. And if I have a fault with Jimmy Dore or Nico House, is they should have remained Bernie or bust, as they did in 2016. Now, they probably have Nico House probably has a different insight, because he worked directly in the Bernie Sanders campaign as a surrogate in 2016 in my native North Carolina. Didn't know him at the time. And there's Combo Couch. Combo Couch are very pro Jimmy Dore, and a lot of people seem to crap a lot on Combo Couch, and I don't know. I enjoy listening to Craig Pasta Jordula and Fiorella Isabel. Again, I like about this duo what I like about Jimmy Dore and Kyle Kulinski: anti-PC, pro free speech. And I know they were pro Bernie Sanders in 2016, but I think she supported Bernie Sanders in 2020, but she seemed to be on the Bernie Tulsi sort of camp and everything. And actually, from back then, that was the probably the most correct camp to be in at that time. I certainly consider myself in 2020 Bernie Tulsi. I'm like, 100% all the way for Bernie, but Tulsi was my second choice. And while I am not as say big a fan of Tulsi Gabbard as I used to be, she's still spot on when it comes to foreign policy. I can't take that away from her. There are others out there. Ben Norton. Let's see. What was it? The two men from the Gray Zone. Ben Norton. Yeah, I'm sorry if he's listening. I'm sorry. I work graveyard shift. I'm not fully awake, but I wanted to touch on this subject. But anyway, so there are people on the online left that they're pretty much split between in their opinions on Jimmy Dore. Now, the election of 2020, as I said, it was Bernie versus Tulsi, and things like do you go and vote third party versus Biden? And I felt like that Jimmy Dore was too busy beating up too much on Bernie Sanders, even though I didn't blame him for necessarily going for Tulsi Gabbard, even though I think he should have supported Bernie Sanders. I see the appeal with Tulsi Gabbard from his perspective. After Bernie and Tulsi dropped out, he was spot on about not voting for Biden. And the same thing with Kyle Kulinski. He didn't vote for Joe Biden either. And actually, that was the most intelligent choice to make, because all the people on the left that said, on the online left, and people I know, leftists I know personally, say, oh, we get rid of Trump. We'll push Biden to the left. We'll hold his feet to the fire, and we'll make sure he is the second FDR. How did that turn out? Well, Jimmy Dore came up with a great idea in December 2020, and that was to force the vote. Hold Nancy Pelosi's speakership hostage. And the squad had the votes to do this. And he was correct to be for this. The Young Turks were in favor of it too. They were very much in favor of this until they decided, well, Jimmy Dore, we don't like Jimmy Dore anymore, so we're opposed to force to vote. And then, but then the juxtaposition is Sam Cedar, who is a jerk to Jimmy Dore, basically, the ironic thing is I actually ended up liking Sam Cedar a little bit more when he decided that Jimmy Dore came up with this great idea called Force the Vote. Prior to Force the Vote, Jimmy Dore came up with the idea of a general strike. And this is before this whole COVID thing was coming out and rearing its ugly head. But this whole idea of a general strike was being debated by the online left. It was a great idea. And so anyway, everybody wants to beat up on Jimmy Dore and saying, well, he's too soft on Trump. And he himself would say that it's low-hanging fruit to go and attack Trump. So he's doing the work that unfortunately too many on the online left are not willing to do, is to go after the corporate Democrats that Reaganized the Democratic Party to begin with. And he's fought that good fight. Same with Kyle Kulinski. And even though I'm sitting here talking more about Jimmy Dore than Kyle Kulinski, to tell you the truth, I am more of a Kyle Kulinski fan up front. Of all the online leftist commentators, I would say that Kyle Kulinski is the one that I felt the most influenced by to do this channel. So Kyle, if you're listening to this commentary, you're my big influence as far as I'm concerned. You gave me the encouragement that it takes to be on the online left and to spread the message of social democracy, democratic socialism. I call it common sense from the other Western countries that the United States seems too willing to reject. Anyway, Aaron Mattei and Glenn Greenwald are now being attacked by the Young Turks. and Jimmy Dore gets sucked in with this thing too. And so another pissing contest happened between Jimmy Dore and TYT. And again, with what happened with Jimmy Dore and Anna Kasparian with the awkward situation of her wearing the short skirt. Well, here's the thing. It was unexcusable what he did. He was wrong. Jimmy Dore was wrong. I believe Jimmy Dore's side of it, but he said he was wrong. And I will tell you, he was wrong for what happened. And I believe that it's been acknowledged. He apologized to her, gave her a gift, and at that time they were friends with each other, and it was water under the bridge. So, and that's the thing right there. Jimmy Dore, Shank Ugert, and Anna Kasparian were all three friends they were all three friends with each other. And the thing about it is, I mean, and now they're against Jimmy Dore, and Jimmy Dore's against the TYT. It's basically all those years have, and the damage is done at that point. But the point is that it's now, it has drawn all kinds of people into this discussion about Jimmy Dore. And recently, it's been my understanding that that he criticized Kyle Kulinski and making references about the chemical attacks in Syria and the whole situation with the bombings and the American response and who's pro-war and anti-war, and kind of insinuating that Kyle Kulinski, is in favor of an American response to get rid of Assad. No. Kyle Kulinski's position on Syria is absolutely the same as Jimmy Dore's position. It's absolutely the same as an unimportant person like myself. And that's small potatoes when it comes to the online left. And that is all-American socialist Michael Richards said it himself yesterday in discussions about this matter, is that you got Syria, who's headed by a bad man, Bashar al-Assad. You have these crazy fanatics, ISIS and Al-Qaeda, trying to topple Assad. Now, those moderate rebels that the U.S. claim are trying to topple Assad, again, ISIS and Al-Qaeda. So what the fuck is Shank Ugert and Anna Kasparian doing, siding with John Bolton on the issue of Syria, when John Bolton himself basically said the United States should side with Al-Qaeda to bring down Bashar al-Assad? Newsflash about Bashar al-Assad. He may be a son of a bitch, but the thing about Bashar al-Assad is he protects Christians, he protects Jews, he protects the different factions of Muslims, all from killing each other in Syria. In a way, you could say that he's probably a more authoritarian version of Field Marshal Joseph Broz Tito of Yugoslavia. In that regard, he's the one that keeps the Syrian state together. And I don't believe in signaling out Syria, because if you topple Assad, what takes over? Haven't the Americans learned that lesson before in Afghanistan in the 1980s? Assad is the lesser evil to Al-Qaeda and ISIS. In the 1980s, the Soviet Union, which I'm not a fan of the Soviet Union, but the Soviet Union was objectively the lesser evil to the Taliban that would later take over Afghanistan. And I don't want to make it sound like that I am supporting Americans in Afghanistan right now. In fact, I want all of the Americans to leave Afghanistan, because it's bullshit that we're there right now. After almost 20 years, we need to get the fuck out. But anyway, getting back to Kyle Kulinski. Kyle Kulinski, you know, Jimmy, don't do this. Don't try to do this to Kyle Kulinski. Kyle Kulinski, you and Kyle Kulinski got so much ideologically more in common than, let's say, you and Sam Cedar, or you and Shane Guger, or Anna Kasparian. And you know, and if you're asking someone like myself to choose between Kyle Kulinski and Jimmy Dore, as much as I defended you, Jimmy, I'm going to have to choose to side with Kyle on this one. And you know, as I said, you know, I do think Jimmy Dore's beaten up way too much by certain people on the left, but sometimes Jimmy Dore engages in some really crazy BS that I have to scratch my head. I wasn't particularly too much of a fan of interviewing somebody from the Boogaloo Boys that he did several months ago. I understand why he did it. I'm not saying that his motives were bad in interviewing the members of the Boogaloo Boys. I just would have made a better judgment than to interview somebody from the Boogaloo Boys in a positive way. But I digress. But the thing about it is, you know, Jimmy, please don't make any more enemies than is necessary. I'm on your side against the Young Turks. Between you and Sam Cedar, I'm on your side. You know, between you and Bosch, I'm on your side. I'm not on your side when it comes to Kyle Kulinski, or for that matter, even the Amazing Atheists. So, but anyway, I just wanted to go and say my piece about this. And this online left phenomenon has been a very positive thing over the past 15 years, 16 years. I would say basically when the Young Turks went on YouTube in 2005. And, you know, I don't really take the Young Turks seriously anymore. As sad as it is to say that. But, you know, Jimmy, don't go down the direction of the Young Turks in the opposite way where I have to write you off either. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, I ranted on long enough because I just needed to get this out of my chest. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree, comment anyway. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to utilize your platform and spread your message, because we're all the muckrakers of our time. Feel free to share the content on this channel. Hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button so you're kept up to date with hard-hitting social democratic commentary by yours truly, American Social Democracy. Peace. And we're all in this together, folks. We need that left unity. We don't need it to fracture. Class struggle yesterday, class struggle today, class struggle tomorrow, and class struggle until we achieve full economic and social justice in our time.